Namaskar. I'm Suruchi Das and you're watching Ritam News. As the Israeli Defense Forces launched Operation Northern Arrows with ground invasions targeting Hezbollah's terrorist strongholds along the Israel-Lebanon border, one might expect global consensus against terror. However, surprisingly, cities like Jammu, Kashmir, and Lucknow are witnessing a different narrative altogether. Shia Muslims in these regions have taken to the streets mourning the death of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, an architect of violence in the Middle East, for 3 days, calling it Martyr's Day. In Kashmir, a region already known for its sensitive political environment, leaders like Mehbooba Mufti of the People's Democratic Party suspended their election campaigns, casting Nasrallah as a martyr and leveraging the event to appeal to Muslim voters. Other political figures like Ruhullah Mehdi from National Conference also paused their political activities, showing how leaders in conflict-ridden regions like Kashmir use global Islamic events to strengthen their political standing. While the Sunni Muslim world largely rejoiced at the end of Nasrallah, a leader of Hezbollah, a Shia extremist organization, Indian Shia communities in places like Lucknow have taken an opposing stance. Large gatherings in Imambaras, symbolic of deep-rooted Shia traditions, were organized, mirroring the mourning practices of Muharram, where the martyrdom of Hussein is commemorated. Their tears and lamentations reflect a desire to connect with global Shia leaders, but they also raise a troubling question about the political exploitation of international conflicts for personal and communal gain. This pattern of international Islamic events fueling local protests is not new. Indian Muslims, particularly in Kashmir and Uttar Pradesh, have historically used global Islamic grievances to stage protests against their perceived marginalization. During the protests over the Citizenship Amendment Act, religious slogans were chanted, giving political demonstrations a clear religious undertone. Today, Nasrallah's death is another such rallying point where some factions of Indian Muslims equate mourning a terror leader with religious duty, disregarding the harm Hezbollah has inflicted on civilians across the Middle East. For Indian Muslims, this mourning is more than just religious observance. It represents a longing to be recognized by the global Islamic Ummah, despite being viewed as second-class Muslims by Arab nations. However, this connection often comes at a cost of loyalty to the nation. By embracing leaders like Nasrallah, whose terrorist organization is responsible for widespread violence, Shia Muslims signal an alarming willingness to prioritize foreign sectarian agendas over the country's security and sovereignty. Meanwhile, the IDF has made significant strides in its battle against Hezbollah's terror network. Ground forces have invaded southern Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah's militancy infrastructure and defending Israeli civilians from imminent threats posed by the militant group. As part of its methodical campaign, Israel is determined to protect its northern regions while Hezbollah continues to fire rockets into Israel territory. Additionally, the United States has stood firmly with Israel, reaffirming its support amid this military action. The US government has backed Israel's right to defend itself, and as Hezbollah's terror legacy faces an impending collapse, nations across the globe have voiced itself. States like Saudi Arabia and the UAE will be watching Iran and Israel's next moves carefully, weighing the gains of a potentially more stable region, including the expansion of economic opportunities beyond oil, against the mounting losses inflicted by greater escalation. While the world moves forward in fighting terrorism, the protests in Jammu Kashmir and Lucknow for Nasrallah's death reflect a larger issue. How long will Indian Muslims continue to draw from global Islamic issues to assert dominance and sow division within India? It is clear that even as they mourn Nasrallah, Indian Muslims will remain outsiders within the Islamic world, forever treated as second-class citizens by Arab Sunni Muslims. Yet, by glorifying terrorists and making international Islamic issues a platform for local protests, they create unnecessary discord and challenge India's unity. Jai Hind.